So, good day, class. Today, I'll be discussing modules number 11 and number 12 for our BAM 031. Before I start, here are our learning objectives for today. First, to enumerate the items of passive income subject to final tax, and to differentiate the final tax to individuals and corporations. Third one is to explain the asset classification rules and gain from its dealings, and to summarize rules and sales of tax directly to buyer and other capital gains tax compliances. So let's start with passive income. So actually, last discussion, modules, I think 9 and 10, we've already discussed about passive income and final withholding tax. But to reiterate, technically, passive income subject to final withholding tax are some types of income. So they are collectively referred as passive income. So I think interest income, dividends, royalty income, etc., which are being subjected to final withholding taxes. So sinasabi dito, to be subject to final withholding tax, dapat daw yung income must be taxable by the Philippine government. The payer must be under the jurisdiction of the BIR. And dito papasok yung sinasabi natin na importance of status of taxation. So we really need to understand, or we really need to identify what is the status of taxation for us to be able to identify if ano din yung corresponding tax na applicable sa kanila. Will it be regular tax or final withholding tax? So for instance, no, for interest income, si payer yung need mag-withhold ng tax. So sino yung magbabayad? Kung sino yung magbabayad ng income. So for this one, no, yung interest income ng mga depositor ni bangko, so si bank yung mag-withhold ng tax. The interest income subject to final withholding tax is not returnable, meaning once from the term itself, final, no? Pag na-subject na sa final withholding tax, hindi na siya need i-report for ITR purposes kasi nga, na-subject na siya. Kumbaga, na-remit na yung tax na yon and cleared na siya kay BIR. So, hindi na siya returnable. Yun yung term na returnable. Okay. So, for this one, no, tong table na to, ito yung mga list of passive income for individuals. So, kung mapapansin nyo dun sa modules nyo, nakapresent siya as one for corporations and individuals. So, dito, mas detailed lang yung ginawa kong table para for better understanding din. So, I have categorized based sa citizen and resident citizen, and then yung non-resident, citizen and non-resident alien, and then yung non-resident alien engaged in business, and yung NRN ETB, yung non-resident alien not engaged in trade or businesses. So first, we have interest from any currency bank deposit in Philippines or in peso. So for citizen and RA and NRETB, 20% siya. And then for NRNETB, 25%. So itong yield or monetary benefit from deposit substitute, trust funds, and similar arrangement, 2020 and then 25. For royalties, 20%, 20. Ito yung mga regular royalties, like for example, meron kang franchise, no, as sole proprietor. So itong mga royalties na binabayad sa'yo, no, masasubject siya sa 20% final withholding tax if you're a citizen and resident alien. Except, of course, yung mga royalties book since lower yung final withholding tax nila. So yan naman, naka-indicate dyan. So, and then prices of more than 10,000. So if it's more than 10,000 already, you need to subject it to final withholding tax. If it's less than 10,000, if 10,000 or less pala, so if 10,000, i-include pa rin siya sa ITR. If 10,001, na siya i-subject sa final withholding tax. So next one is yung winnings. Ang difference naman ng winnings kay prices, yung prices, di ba? Yun yung may involvement ka, meaning nag-join ka ng any competition, tapos yun yung prize mo. Yung itong winnings, ito yung, for example, yung mga lotto, no? O yung mga gambling na, like for example, yung sa PCSO, no? Yung mga lotto winnings nila, yung scratch it. Yung mga winnings na yun, if 10,000 or less, you'll be exempted from taxation. Pero if more than, doon napapasok yung 20%. Yung NRN-ETV na yun, yung arrow na yun, same lang siya dito. Yung sa generally 25% of gross income received from all sources within the Philippines. So yun yung general rule. The next one, yung interest from a depository bank under the expanded foreign currency deposit system. So for Citizen and RA, 15% siya. Tapos exempt siya. And then for NRN-ETV, exempt din. Kung mapapansin nyo, itong A to I, no, except sa letter F, mag-apply itong generate 25%. So for letter F, for expanded foreign currency deposit system, exempted siya for NRN. The next is the interest income from long-term deposit or investment of 5 years. So ito yung mga long-term investment na ang minimum years na time in period is 5 years. So exempt siya. Later on, I'll be discussing yung mga other details, further details. Kung mapapansin nyo yung mga note 1, note 2, note 3. Yung next slides, yun yung explanation. So last one is cash or property dividend received from a domestic corporation or regional operating headquarters of a multinational company. If you're a citizen and a resident alien, 10%. If NRA-TV, 20%. And then lastly, yung share of individual partner in the after-tax net income of a business partnership or an organization, JV or consortium taxable as corporation. So yun, subject din siya sa final withholding tax, 10% and then 20%. And for NRA-TV, 25%. Yung note kanina yung sa 30, yung 10,000, no? For winnings sa PCSO, before for winnings and resident aliens, exempt siya before regardless of the amount. However, after train law, ayun na, nagkaroon na ng threshold only for that exemption, and then any amount in excess of 10,000, no, yun na yung masasubject for sa 20% na final withholding tax. And then yung next note, yung sa 38, yung 15%, dati 7.5% yan. So, nadagdagan din na increase to 15% due to train law. So, ito yung mga sinasabi kong additional notes in guidance din sa mga types of passive income na diniscuss natin. So, for deposit substitutes, ito daw yung alternative form of obtaining funds from public other than deposits. So, technically, from the term itself, substitutes siya for deposit. So, public means borrowing from 20 or more lenders at any one time. So examples nito yung mga bankers acceptance, PNs, repurchase agreements, no, government debts and instruments and securities. If the debt instrument is not a deposit substitute, interest income shall not subject to final withholding tax. So if hindi siya mag-fall under the category of a deposit substitute, yung debt instrument na yun as if normal income siya. So hindi siya masasubject sa final withholding tax but to a creditable withholding tax. So yun yung mga nire-report sa ITR na. The next note is for long-term deposit or investment certificate. Ito yung sinasabi natin kanina na investment siya with a maturity of at least 5 years issued by a bank and not by a non-bank financial intermediary. So the exemption only covers the interest income, and any gain from trading such certificates is not covered by the exemption. So yung income lang yung magiging exempt sa income tax, provided o exempt sa final withholding tax, provided na yan ma-meet yung mga requirement na lang, yung maturity at least 5 years and issued by a bank. So yung NRA-ETV daw hindi siya covered ng exemption. So tapos yung LT deposit or investment certificate must be issued by a bank. So it may be in the form of savings, common or individual trust funds, deposit substitutes, investment management accounts. Investment must have a maturity of 5 years from the time it is held and must be held for at least 5 years for interest income to be exempt. So ito naman yung di ba requirement nga ng 5 years. Sir, paano pag ma-terminate siya before yung 5 years na yun? Of course, magkakaroon na ng corresponding tax rate. Pero kung mapapansin nyo, depending siya kung kailan mo na pre-terminate yung investment na yun. So if less than 3 years, 20%, like the regular interest income, and then if 3 to 4 years, 12%, then 4 to 5 years, 5%. So bumababa siya. Tapos ito, example problem. So in our quizzes and future exams, I'll be incorporating type of questions na ganito. For example, a long-term investment instrument with a maturity of 30 years was bought by Mr. A from a bank. The instrument was sold successfully to other investors. The holding periods of the investors are as follows. So unang-una, check na agad yung long-term investment na at least 5 years daw yung maturity, 30 years yun, and issued by a bank. So pasok agad yung dalawa. So kailangan na yun, yung holding period na dapat 5 years din. So si Mr. A, which is a non-resident citizen, 3 years daw. So pasok siya dun sa 12% threshold. Yung 3 years to less than 4 years. Si Mr. B naman, 2 years daw. So if less than 2 years, 20%. Si Mr. C, a non-resident alien engaged in business, na-meet niya yung 5%, 5 years. So exempted na siya sa final withholding tax. And si Mr. F naman, since he is a non-resident alien not engaged in trade and business, regardless kung gaano katagal yung holding period, kahit 10 years pa yan, hindi siya magiging entitled dun sa tax exemption. So yun for predetermination ng mga long-term investments. Next, for interest on foreign currency bank deposits. So interest on foreign currency deposit is taxable if received by individual taxpayer except a non-resident individual who may be a non-resident citizen or a non-resident alien. So technically, masasubject lang to sa income tax or resident citizen only. Kasi kapag non-resident na, ito mga non-resident alien, tsaka non-resident citizen. Kasi, di ba nga pag ganun, income within lang, di ba? And then, an overseas citizen worker shall be exempt from the 15% final tax on interest income from a foreign currency bank deposit in the Philippines. However, if the deposit account is jointly in the name of an OCW and another individual, may it be spouse or dependent, who is a Philippine resident, then 50% yun, hati-hati. So ito yung special case lang to for OCW. Then fourth one, interest income from savings and time deposits of members with their credit cooperative is exempt from 20% final withholding tax. So ano ba kasi itong credit cooperative nito? So technically, these are institutions whose objective is to provide financial assistance. Kaya nga credit cooperative. So sila yung nagpo-pull ng money from its member, tapos yung ipapautang din nila sa mga members nila in need of money. So yung interest income na yun, no, exempt siya sa 20% final withholding tax. And actually kasi itong mga credit cooperatives nito, they'll be imposing interest lower as compared to the usual, yung mga normal loans or normal deposits like sa banks, ganun, or mga financial institutions talaga. Since yun nga, ang very main objective naman kasi nila is to provide help. So next one, what are the BRR forms that need to be filed by the payer of the income? So di ba nga sabi natin, yung payer, yung may responsibility to withhold ng final withholding tax. So technically, siya din yung need mag-file ng remittance forms. Kung mapapansin nyo, meron two types of form, no? Yung return and then yung remittance form. Pag kasi return, no, technically, about siya sa ikaw yung magbabayad. Yun yung tax mo yun. Kumbaga, it's your duty. Kasi based yun sa results ng operation mo or ng business. Yung remittance naman, it has something to do with the withholding tax system natin. So di ba nga, yung withholding tax system, yung mga agents or mga taxpayers, binibigyan sila ng right ni government na mag-withhold ng tax on their behalf. So pag mga remittance form, yun yung mga nire-remit lang natin na wini-withhold as an agent of the government. So una daw, yung monthly remittance form, which is the form 0169F. So dapat ma-file siya 10th day of the month following the month when the withholding was made. So yun yung monthly na ginagawa. For example, meron kang withholding transactions ng January. So that transaction must be filed, no, yung 0619F. Dapat ma-file siya ng February 10. So yun yung deadline. 10th day of the month following when the withholding was made. So yun yung gagawin for the first 2 months, and then meron tayong quarterly remittance. So yung quarterly remittance naman, technically ipupull niya lang lahat ng remittance mo from the earlier 2 months. Yung, for example, for first quarter, January, February, and then i-add mo lang yung for March, and then yun na yung iilagay mo sa quarterly remittance form. Tapos meron din siya dito yung attachment. So once you submit the quarterly remittance form, you need to submit then yung corresponding attachment, which is the QAP, the quarterly alphabetical list of payees. So technically, ito lang yung list of all the payees, no? Andun yung name, yung PIN, kung magkano yung income, and magkano yung amount of final withholding tax na withheld mo. Nung nag-work ako sa SGB, ayan, I was exposed to this kind of returns kasi naggagawa ako ng ganyan. Ako yung gumagawa ng QAP, ako din yung nag-file ng mga monthly remittance and quarterly remittance forms ng mga clients namin. Crucial itong QAP kasi si government or si BIR, it is actually one way of checking. Diba, natanong nyo before, paano po na-ensure ni BIR na tama po yung sinasubmit ng mga companies na to. So if you're going to look at the format nung QAP, so di ba andun yung list ng mga payees niya. So si government or si BIR, meron siyang database na automatic, once sinubmit yung mga attachment na to, papasok yan sa system nila. So match-check yun. For example, ikaw, nilagay mo dyan na payees mo si ganitong company, so company A, tapos chinek nila kay company A, wala naman silang ni-report na income, no? Or hindi na incorporate doon sa present nilang, sinubmit nilang income tax return. So if that's the case, matche-check nila, bakit si ganito nag-disclose siya ng ganitong amount of income from you daw, pero sa return nyo hindi nyo disclose. So yung mga ganung way of checking. If ganun yung nangyayari, no, pag may nakitang discrepancy si BIR, then that's the time na mag-i-issue siya ng LOA to further audit or to further check yung propriety ng mga pinagsasubmit nilang mga return. So meron din tayong annual information return. So yun lang yung actually yung annualization, yung monthly, quarterly, and all the QAPs being submitted from for the whole year. So sinasubmit siya ng January 31 of the year following the calendar in which the income payments subject to FW2s were paid or accrued. So yan, yung annual list of payees, income payments shall be reflected in the schedule form of 1604F. So these forms are also used to pay the following final taxes. So yung for final withholding tax, andyan din yung for income from film leasing and distribution within the Philippines of an non-resident alien cinematographic film owner, lessor, distributor. And then yung 8% final tax on income derived by subcontractors in petroleum operations. And then the 10% final tax on informer's reward and 25% final tax on income paid to NRNEPs. So technically, yun yung for final passive income. No? So another passive income is yung dividend. So eto naman, technically, di ba, ito yung nare-receive natin from the corporations. No? So if yung dividend daw ay na-receive from a foreign corporation, the general rule is such dividend is income without. So since foreign corporation, yun yung general rule, yun yung general assumption. So yung income, if you're a resident citizen, since you're a resident citizen, di ba, ang rule is income within and without. So included siya sa ITR. Pero other than that, no, NRC, RA, NRETB, and NRNETB, exempted na yun. Kasi nga, outside the Philippine tax jurisdiction na since income without na. And then yung exception to the general rule, when dividend is sourced partly within and partly without, of course, if RC, 100% yan. Pero for NRC, NRETB, no, kung asaan lang yung part without, yun lang yung magiging exempt. And then yung income or yung dividend na part within, no, for NRC, RA, and RATB, kasama siya sa ITR. For NRNTB, subject siya dun sa 25% na final tax. So yun lang naman yung tatandaan nyo. General rule, if a dividend received from a foreign corporation, included kay ITR for RC. No, if partly within and without, then dun lang magkakaroon ng changes. Kung ano lang yung within, yun lang yung masasubject sa income tax report sa ITR. If NRNTB ka, automatic subject siya sa 25% final withholding tax. So yeah. Next slide. So ito naman yung passive income for yung mga unang diniscuss natin, yung 1 to 6, this is for individual taxpayers. So next naman is for corporations. So ito, yung first is interest on currency bank deposit. So kinategorize ko lang into two for domestic and RFC. So if you're domestic and resident foreign corporation, 20%, if NRFC, 30%. So yield on other monetary benefit, ito yung mga deposit substitute, trust funds, and similar arrangement, 20 and then 30. And then royalties, 20, 30. And then interest from a depositary under the expanded foreign currency deposit system. If you're a resident foreign corporation, 7.5. If you're a domestic corporation, 15%. Before train, no, yung for RFC, for domestic corporation, 7.5% lang din siya. Actually, ito yung isang one of the loopholes nung train na I think dapat na ano din na etong hindi ko sure kung ano yung rationale behind. Parang naging point of discussion to before, naalala ko nung seminar na inattendan ko na facilitated by SGV. So, one of the loopholes daw na parang they believe na it should have been adjusted din yung for RFC. Tapos yung sa NRFC exempt siya. And then for prices, for domestic and RFC, ITR, for NRFC, 30%.